Season 1 of the UTEP Dynasty was certainly a rocky road. We struggled with interceptions, we made a quarterback change mid-season, we went on a 5-game losing streak, but despite all that, we ultimately still accomplished our goal of making a bowl game. Skylar Locklear has really turned this team around, got us 4 wins out of our last 5 games, and it puts us in the Cure Bowl as we take on the Western Michigan Broncos in Orlando, Florida. Welcome to episode 8, everybody. And today we close the book on season 1 and we say goodbye officially to our graduating seniors, plus a whole lot of players that probably are going to transfer after this game. But we're going to try to keep our momentum up against an 8-5 conference champion in the Broncos. They had their own impressive turnaround, losing their first 4 games and then winning all but one of the rest, capping it off with a win over the heavy conference championship favorite, Toledo. Their skill positions are their biggest strength, with the exception of their quarterback, which is 74 overall Brock Lowry. Not necessarily the livest arm, but he's gotten it done, played very well in the championship game. He is heavily supported by his skill talent, led by 89 overall running back Jalen Buckley. He has a great elusiveness and power combo, and their tight end Blake Bosma can run routes like a wide receiver. They've got a few key injuries, including center Raheem Anderson and wide receiver Christian Leary, but we'll still have to worry about a good cover safety in Tate Halleck. So that sets the stage for this Conference USA MAC battle. Let's get ready for some action at Camping World Stadium. We kick it first, and off we go in the Cure Bowl. Unfortunately, we're not quite good enough to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl. Maybe we will one day. Brock Lowry going to work. He gets his first pass out to the tight end, Blake Bosma, covered up by the senior and first-team All-American Udoka Ezeyani. There's a fumble, a strip sack, and a touchdown! What a start for our defense. 2 plays in, we already come away with a splash play. Our pair of dynamic senior defensive tackles teaming up on that play. KD Johnson forced the fumble, and Cole Gustafson scoops and scores. Rumble, big man, rumble. And UTEP is up 7-0. Another chance for Western Michigan. They get it out to Malik Dudon. Gain of 3. Now a pass out to the flat. It's Buckley tackled for a loss. It's Tyler Jones, one of the backup safeties. Oftentimes plays a big nickel role. 3rd down, we get off the field. Buckley tackled short by Yesman Green. And we send it over to our offense. First play is a bubble screen to Jaden Smith that moves the chains. Skylar Locklear in the shotgun, pulls and throws another bubble, this time to Cam Thomas. UTEP's all-time single-season receptions leader. He broke that record this season, and he's not done yet. Now this pass is sailed. No chance really for Jaden Smith. Now a 3rd down and 15. Locklear nearly intercepted. Trying to make something happen on 3rd down. Nearly ended in disaster. And Jalen Buckley gashes us up the middle for a 1st down run. 3rd down and 4 for Western Michigan. It's Brock Lowry back to pass to the flat, and the receiver couldn't handle it. He was not ready for the pass. Balin Brooks turned around a little bit too late, and it goes off his back. But the Broncos are going to go for this 4th and 4. Lowry looking toward the numbers, and he's got Tyleek Williams on the 4th down chain mover. Jalen Buckley stonewalled. The ball is out, recovered by Williams. Possession staying with the Broncos. Turns out it wasn't even really a fumble anyway. We got some generous fumble calls last game against Delaware that really helped us. Pressure on Lowry, and he's brought down. Neil Campbell on the corner blitz. The holding call is declined, and that stalls out their drive. This is Marquez Taylor. Has effectively been the lead back for quite a while since Hassan Wilson has been dealing with some pretty severe wear and tear. Taylor picks up the first down right there. And Azinwa couldn't hold on to that pass, and Marquez Taylor is down on the field. We cannot afford to have another running back injury. We really don't have that much depth behind Taylor and Hassan Wilson. Wilson has been completely run to the ground. Now Taylor's out. I'm not sure I feel comfortable putting Wilson back out there, so instead it's Ashton Emery. But a pass on 3rd and 10 is caught. Kenny Odom got a step, and he will go! Touchdown! What a start for the Miners! 2-score lead already in the first quarter. This was a classic cover zero man blitz. No one home in the middle of the field to stop the fastest player on our team. Kenny Odom with the house call. And he greets his fans afterwards. A lot of Miner fans came out for this one. 1st down and 10 for Buckley, and he will take this to the sideline. 1st down. Western Michigan has been punched in the mouth so far. They're just trying to get some momentum back. They go to their best player, Buckley, again. Time running out on the first quarter. Lowry on 3rd down. Big hit. Incomplete. Tyler Jones forced it. You see that old school neck roll he wears, and he plays like an old school safety. And another punt forced by our defense. Cam Thomas taking this for a gain of 10. Now we dial up a screen pass. This is Ashton Emery, the 3rd string running back, who is now thrust into a major role here, picks up the 1st down. Jet sweep to the right side. Kenny Odom with green grass. Up near the 30, pushed out at the 32. Good blocking and excellent speed. Locklear looking for Odom again. He's crossing over to the right side again, inside the 10. Odom has been unguardable so far. 2nd down, Locklear steps up and scrambles in. Touchdown. A near perfect start to this bowl game. This team is playing inspired, trying to end the season above 500. Lowry with a wild pass, finding Buckley, who trudges ahead for 5. And a 3rd and medium. We send pressure at Lowry. He fires over the middle. It's caught. It's Williams leaving our defense in the dust. And the Broncos have finally scored on a big play. They were running that spread, stick, and nod that's so good at picking up big chunks against a blitz. That time, Udoka Ezeyani got matched up on a wide receiver. Even a first-team All-American linebacker is going to have a hard time there. Jaden Smith makes that catch over the middle and gets the 1st. Near midfield, Locklear barely gets it out. Complete to Ashton Emery, but it's coming back due to a hold on Luka Matamoros. He's been called for some really brutal holds this season. Caught by Jaden Smith, making the 4th down a little bit shorter, but we still punt it away. 3:45 in the half. Lowry navigating to his left and looking to his right, and this is called incomplete. Balin Brooks almost made a great catch on the sideline. Apparently he actually did. Doesn't really change much though, as it was not enough for the 1st down. Over the middle, it's intercepted. Locklear underthrew his man badly. It is picked off by Jordan Thomas. There was a lot of open space for Jaden Smith to run into, but Locklear threw it behind him. Well, the good thing is, no matter how many interceptions he throws, it's not likely to be more than Malachi Nelson. Anything's better than that. 3rd and 9 for Western Michigan, and the pass is sailed by Lowry. Incomplete, forcing another punt. Western Michigan has gotten nothing on offense outside of the one deep shot. 3rd down and 11, trying to keep the drive alive for the 2-minute drill. Locklear looking for a man on the right side. Emery could not haul it in, but this is going to be pass interference on the defender. And we get bailed out a little bit. Emery's going to take this up the middle now, nearly picking up the first. Gain of 9. At the 41, a screen pass on the right, caught by Thomas, ahead to the 46. A minute and a half to go. Here's Locklear against some pressure, and nearly got it to Thomas, but he underthrew it. Second down, we run air raid Y cross, and it's over the head of Thomas, missing the mark twice in a row. Locklear throws the curl to Thomas, and it's another incompletion. It was too high, and we have to punt it away, and the Broncos will try to march down the field. 36 seconds left. Pass caught by Blake Bosma. Lowry, pass deflected at the line of scrimmage by Katie Johnson. 30 seconds to go, and the short pass complete but stopped in its tracks by Xavier Smith. 25 to go, 3rd and 7. And open in the flat is Malik Dudon, who can't get out of bounds. Western Michigan out of timeouts. 5 seconds left, they'll snap it one more time. A lot of time for Brock Lowry, he's gonna flick it nearly to the end zone. Intercepted! Tyler Jones ends the first half on a good note. He has really shown out in this bowl game. He was not a starter for us, but he might be making us regret that decision. We are slinging it all over the field right now. 206 passing yards. Western Michigan not too far behind, though. But what a first half. This is the vision that I had for this team this year. I did think it was going to be Malachi Nelson at quarterback who would be doing this for us. But I'm just so happy with how Locklear's been able to turn our season around. And this is the first play of the second half. Wandame Davis takes a screen pass for a big gain. 2nd and 3. Skylar Locklear is going to wheel out to the left and take off. First down, pickup. 20 yards rushing now for Locklear. Time to throw. He finds Emery over the middle. Gain of 9. Into Bronco territory. And he lofts it up there now for Jaden Smith, who boxes out his defender for the catch. Locklear hit as he threw, but he got it to Odom. He is having his way with the Broncos secondary today. Nearly in the red zone, and that gets us in. Pass caught by Judah Ezinwa. First down at the 15-yard line. Fake jet sweep. Over the middle, caught by Ezinwa. Touchdown! Excellent throw and catch. Ezinwa's another player who did not start at the beginning of the year, and I am glad that he's starting now. One of my favorite play calls in this playbook as well, the fake jet sweep verticals, really does a good job getting the linebackers out of position. And a quarterback draw on first down. Brock Lowry catches us on our heels. 2nd and 5 at the 47. And Malik Dudon sits down for that ball. Over to the 35, first down. They fake the jet sweep. And they run the exact same play, targeting the running back, Buckley. Just overthrown. He had Ezayani beat. 3rd and 6. Ezayani makes the stop on Buckley. It forces a field goal attempt for Palmer Domschke. And he tucks this inside the left upright for 3 points. The score now 28-10. Back to the offense. This is Ashton Emery. Ahead for 4 yards. And a pressure look from the Broncos. They're able to keep us to a short gain, and it's coming back even further. Hold on Joseph Immediato. 3rd down and 13. Locklear hits Wandame Davis on the slant route. Not enough. And we kick it. It's Brock Lowry finding Jalen Buckley, who spins out Yesman Green on the left side. He is a very dynamic athlete. 2nd and 10 for Lowry. Throws across his body. Oh my, it's caught. Tyleek Williams on the other end of one of the most impressive throws all day by either quarterback. Good catch from Williams as well. Now he catches this over the middle and gets it ahead to the 12. Final minute of the third quarter. Tyleik Williams continuing to get open. And the Broncos threaten. It's Buckley trying to find a hole. He does not. We stop him before the first down. Cole Gustafson, unfortunately, will have to leave, though, for this crucial 4th and inches. 3 running backs. They hand it off to the middle one, and he's in! It's the fullback, Keenan Crothers, scoring the touchdown for the Broncos, and they are within 11. Closing out the third quarter with a completion to Jaden Smith, who hits the spin move on Jordan Thomas to pick up the first down. And we're into the final quarter of our season. 11-point cushion. Can we hold on to win the Cure Bowl? This is nearly picked off. Risky throw from Locklear. Wanted his trusty slot receiver, Thomas. Couldn't connect. Back to the Broncos. It's Blake Bosma falling forward for a gain of 9. Now a handoff to Jalen Buckley, swarmed in the backfield. Ezayani got there first. 3rd down and 3. Brock Lowry will launch it down the numbers. And it is incomplete. Blake Bosma had it knocked loose by Xavier Smith. But they will try the 4th and 3. We send pressure. It's blocked up. Down the sideline. Incomplete again. Our secondary coming up big. Yesman Green with the breakup that time. And we have a 3rd and 11 that we convert. It's Kenny Odom again, having one of the best games of his season. And we keep possession. Over the middle, this is Davis, the redshirt freshman. One of the players hoping for a larger role next season. Cam Thomas coming around, and he will score. The Miner back is going out in style. He came into the game with 1,000 yards on the dot, but only 4 touchdowns. He has increased both of those totals, while also padding his lead in all-time receptions in a season. And we get our 3-score lead back here with 6:45 to go. Another strip sack. KD Johnson does it again, but we're not able to recover it this time. KD will be sorely missed next year. He has been a difference maker. And oh no, Xavier Smith nearly came away with his first interception on the season. He dropped it. But it does force a 4th and 15. And it's incomplete. Xavier Smith brings the boom on the receiver. He showed us something he can't do, but then he shows us something he can do. Huge hit midair. Malachi Nelson is in the ball game, up by 18 with 5 minutes to go. Every appearance for Malachi Nelson at this point is an audition for a potential starting job next season. His reputation is a little bit damaged at this point, but all hope is not lost. He's going to try to get us into the end zone as Ashton Emery picks up the first down. 1st and goal. Nelson, sacked from behind. He lost the ball. And covering him is Luka Matamoros. He's picked up a couple loose balls this season and saved the offense. He did not sense the pressure coming and really didn't have much time to react to it anyway. And he is a little bit flustered, overthrowing Judah Ezinwa. 3rd down and goal. He goes to the end zone, overthrowing Jaden Smith. Yeah, these auditions have not gone so well. Just overall a nightmare season for Malachi. We do get a field goal on the board though, and we're up by 21. 2:50 to go in our season. Lowry launches and completes. Tyleik Williams, one of the few bright spots on the Broncos this game. He takes the top off our defense. A classic switch release on Tyler Jones, who was having a great game up to this point, but he's not able to hang with the speedy receiver. Maybe it's not quite over yet. Maybe it is, as we recover the onside kick, and hopefully we can run some of this clock out. Nelson hooks up with Ezinwa, who gains 6 yards, and Western Michigan will start using their timeouts. It's a handoff up the middle to Emery. He's been the lead back today, and he's performed pretty well, even though we're not really relying on him too much. Now he's going to catch and run on the screen pass. First down. And now he's hurt. You got to be kidding me. I promise I'm going to get the wear and tear sliders worked out eventually, but this is season 1 as Lance Barnes, a running back who wears number 89, now has to take a carry and loses 1. Emery, thankfully, is right back in the game. And Nelson pressured from his backside and brought down. Popeye Williams with the sack. 3rd and 17. Nelson pressured again. Can't get it to anyone. And we weren't exactly able to hold the ball for as long as we would have wanted to. But a field goal does get us over 40 points. One of our best offensive showings of the season. And plus we got a defensive score as well. Brock Lowry throwing on the run, and we forgot about Blake Bosma crossing the field and getting it all the way to the 30. Western Michigan trying to make their loss look a little bit less bad, but Cole Gustafson brings down Lowry. 3rd and 18. Lowry to the end zone, knocked away. Yesman Green brings up 4th down. Lowry in the pistol, and immediately pressured from behind and brought down, and Lowry is hurt. And getting the sack is a player who sat on our bench for almost the entire season, Deshaun Keaton, the sophomore making a case for more playing time next season. Cam Thomas just racking up catches, but now he's going to have to come off the field. Fortunately, he's just mildly shaken up, but no need to work him any longer when the game is already won. Jaden Smith with another whirlwind spin move. And I know we could just kneel this out, but you mustn't forget, this is Malachi Nelson's audition, and that's a great throw. Fit into the tight end Azinwa. 1 second left. We get one more snap off. It's incomplete. Intended for Kenny Odom, as our shameless plug of Malachi Nelson is unsuccessful. That is the end of Season 1. We walk away from Orlando with a 7-6 record and a bowl game win over a MAC champion. Pretty good for a team who had a 5-game losing streak. And the vibes are good. It's all smiles for our players. What a satisfying way to cap off the season that had so many ups and downs. It felt like early in the year we were just finding new ways to lose every time. But improvements from Locklear and from our defense really helped us play to our potential down the stretch. The next step for us is to put a whole season together of playing like this. I think it might take some talent upgrades and some player development, but I think that is in our future. Ashton Emery with a strong impression as the de facto RB1. He is just a freshman, so he could get some major playing time next year depending on who stays, who leaves, and who joins. 2 sacks for KD Johnson. He already came in with 10. He ends the season with 12. Cole Gustafson with another sack as well. And of course, also the defensive touchdown. I think we can beat just about any group of 5 school if we play the way we played today. And this makes me really excited to go into the off season and find ways to improve the roster even more than it is right now. How about Tyleik Williams though, with 213 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns? He had a day. Jalen Buckley, on the other hand, did not. Only 19 yards on 12 carries. We shut him down. Our first bowl game win of the series gets us a lot of XP. Another upgrade, now level 9. And we have another record in the house. KD Johnson is the new UTEP single season sacks king. He finishes the season with 12. The previous record was Melvin Bess's with 11 in 1979. We will use our coach upgrade on quarterback ball carrier moves, spin, juke, and ball carrier vision. And with our game in the books, all that's left in this episode is to play out the rest of the college football postseason and crown a playoff champion. Thank you for the feedback in the comments section of last video, by the way. telling me to put the playoff into this episode instead of the off-season, I think that's the right move. We are going to start in a snowy Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the 5-seeded Wolverines take on Boise State, the Group of 5 bid. A very tough environment to play in if you're Boise State, and the Wolverines get off to a 2-score lead early. Jordan Marshall runs it in and then catches a touchdown pass. And Michigan ended up steamrolling their way to victory 38-0. I think most people saw this coming. They even got a punt return touchdown with Samaj Morgan. Yeah, Broncos had no chance here. So Bryce Underwood and Michigan will now face the 4-seeded Texas Tech Red Raiders. Florida blows out Indiana, so not very interesting results to start the playoff. DJ Lagway with 4 touchdowns. He had a great game. The Gators are missing their top running back, Jaden Baugh, but it doesn't seem to matter as Jacoby Jackson had 2 scores. It was also a statement game for edge rusher Tyreek Sapp. He had 3.5 sacks. Indiana never had much of a chance here on the road, but they had even less of a chance when Fernando Mendoza went down. It was Grant Wilson playing out the rest of this game. Florida will now face Penn State. Now on to Durham, where the Duke Blue Devils are one of the most surprising college football playoff members, and they fall behind by 10 to South Carolina thanks to a 97-yard rush by Lenoris Sellers. They do come back and score before the half, and this does look to be a much more interesting game than the first two. Third quarter now, and South Carolina just made it a 2-score lead again with a 66-yarder to Jared Brown. The Gamecocks have a lot of big play potential, and now it's Sellers with a toss out to the flat. Michael Smith, the tight end, puts the Blue Devils away with a late touchdown. 38-28 is your final score here. The Gamecocks rushed for 296 yards, and 114 of them were gained by Sellers. They'll now face Miami in the second round. Arizona State now hosts Notre Dame, and a 51-yarder from Will Pauling puts the Irish up 2 scores, and then Jeremiah Love widens the gap. CJ Carr was near flawless today, 21 for 27 with 4 touchdowns scored, and Notre Dame wins by 20 in Tempe and moves on to a matchup with Oregon. So every first-round matchup is decided by more than 1 score. Hopefully the quarterfinal games will be a bit better. We will start with Oregon moving on to the semis with a 10-point win over Notre Dame. Mekhi Hughes is having one of the more impressive seasons by a running back in recent memory. He is creeping up now towards that coveted 30-touchdown mark. On to Michigan and Texas Tech, and this was a pretty good one. It's a tight defensive battle, and Underwood connects with Anthony Simpson for the touchdown. Now a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. 4th down for Texas Tech, and the pass falls incomplete. A missed opportunity. Texas Tech playing with their backup QB Mitch Griffiths, and now Bryce Underwood is also shaken up. Now Griffiths trying to tie this game back up. He completes a tough pass here, but it's 1 yard short of the line to gain. They're going to hand it off to their running back. Quinton Joyner keeps the drive alive, but they have to convert another 4th down. It's Mitch Griffiths scrambling out to the left side, and he picks it up and more. Didn't force anything. Great play from Griffiths, and now they're knocking on the door at the 6-yard line. And what's going on here? They motion their running back off the field, distracting the defense, and then they throw the touchdown. I have never seen that before. Pulling out all the stops in the biggest moment, Caleb Douglas makes the catch in the end zone. And honestly, this is a pretty effective strategy. How could you not pay attention to Quinton Joyner running into a cameraman on the sideline? They are an extra point away from tying it, and Michigan takes time out, and look what we have here. Texas Tech changes their mind, and they're going for 2 instead. It's an empty backfield for Mitch Griffiths. Back to pass, and it's a draw play. He's going to try to run for it. Flag on the field. He's brought down short, and it is on the offense. Left tackle Ellis Davis committed the hold, and that is a decision that will be dissected for years. Why did they change their mind and go for 2? Just because the other team decided to ice their kicker. That's the end of the game after Michigan recovers the onside kick. It's 17-16, Michigan to the semifinal. It was a gutsy performance from Mitch Griffiths, who completed less than half of his passes but did not turn the ball over, just was a victim of some questionable play calling. And Bryce Underwood, despite being a little bit banged up in this game, should be good to go for next week. It will be Oregon and Michigan, a rematch of the Big Ten Championship for a chance to go to the National Championship. Miami then beats South Carolina in a snooze fest. South Carolina never scored after the opening drive. Mark Fletcher had another 2-touchdown performance. They will face the winner of Florida-Penn State, and the Gators strike first with a 22-yard rush by Jacoby Jackson. Penn State would then take the lead in the second quarter. 13-10, Penn State leads in the third, and a 30-yard rush by Katron Allen finds Pater, but DJ Lagway answers, and it's back to a 3-point game. This could be good. It is Nick Singleton putting the Nittany Lions up 10 in quarter number 4, and DJ Lagway has his work cut out for him. Quick pass, and then J. Michael Sturdivant bounces off a couple tackles, and he is gone. What a play from the Gators' top receiver, and this could be the best game of the entire playoffs so far. This is Jacoby Jackson getting to the edge and getting the Gators into the red zone. Under 3 minutes to go, Florida trails by 3, and they get stopped. They will have to settle for the field goal. The kick is good, and the game is tied. Under 2 minutes now. Drew Aller. Over the middle, it's picked off! Cameron James reaches behind his body to make the grab, and it's a gigantic play for the Gators. And a bad decision from Drew Aller. That receiver was double covered, and that could lose Penn State their season. This is Trayvon Webb making moves, and inside the 1-yard line, Webb will get it again into the second effort, gets him the touchdown. In the final minute, Florida completes their comeback. Drew Aller, though, with one last gasp. This is caught inside the 25. They have no more timeouts remaining, and they will get one shot at the end zone. Aller passes over the middle. It is well short. He was hoping his star running back Singleton could make something happen there. He could not. And Florida moves on to face Miami. DJ Lagway continues to lead this team to victories, and I think he's officially the best Florida quarterback since Tim Tebow. They continue to get it done on the ground, which is something they have struggled with at times as a program, but Jacoby Jackson and Trayvon Webb filling in nicely for Jaden Baugh. They both score in this one, and Jaden Baugh continues to recover. He may be able to return for the championship game if they're able to make it. J. Michael Sturdivant's talent was also on display with that ridiculous broken tackle touchdown. He had 150 yards in total. A lot of people had Penn State as their champion in the preseason, but despite a stacked roster, Drew Aller, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen cannot get it done. Michigan versus Oregon in the Peach Bowl, and Florida-Miami in the Fiesta Bowl. As an Oregon fan, I think what I'm rooting for is Oregon-Miami in the title. That would be absolute cinema, seeing Mario Cristobal take on Dan Lanning. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen, as Florida is title game bound. 37-14. They blow out the Hurricanes thanks to a 24-0 second quarter. DJ Lagway was near perfect yet again. 3 touchdowns, no picks. And Jacoby Jackson and Trayvon Webb yet again had their way on the ground, combining for 167 yards and a touchdown. Add on 2 more touchdowns from J. Michael Sturdivant, and that was way too much for Carson Beck and the Miami Hurricanes to handle. So we have decided one team in the championship game. Let's decide the other. It's the Peach Bowl, where Oregon trails Michigan, but a flag for defensive pass interference is going to bail them out, keeping their drive alive. Dante Moore in the pocket steps up and walks in. The game is tied in the 4th quarter as 2 of the Big Ten's finest continue to battle. 1:20 to go in the game. Bryce Underwood is pressured by 3 Ducks and sacked for a huge loss. Bryce Betcher credited with the sack. And that gets the ball back to the Ducks offense. It's Noah Whittington falling forward for the first down. They are stopped in their tracks right there, though, and are forced to take a long field goal from 55. It's good! Atticus Sappington may have just sent his team to the title game. 0's on the clock now for Bryce Underwood. He decides to take off and run, and he's not going to get anywhere close. Oregon wins, and they go to their 3rd ever championship game with a chance to win their first. So that is the matchup for the championship in Season 1. Oregon taking on Florida. It's the number 1 versus the number 6. And this should be an incredible football game with star power all the way down. It starts with Malachi Hughes, who was the best running back in the nation and is 1 touchdown away from getting 30 rushing scores on the year. This Ducks team also has one of the best receivers they've ever had with Evan Stewart, the program single-season record holder for receiving yards and receptions. And of course, the sophomore quarterback Dante Moore, who is just 80 yards away from breaking Marcus Mariota's single-season passing yards record. This has been another special season for Oregon, taking the number 1 seed all the way to the final game. Last year, of course, they went undefeated before losing in their first playoff game. Maybe it's good that they got their loss out of the way early in the season against Penn State, because they have been nothing but incredible ever since. On the other side, DJ Lagway, the true sophomore, has had an incredible season in his own right and looks to cap it off with a ring. He does have help on the way with top running back Jaden Baugh fresh and ready to go after a prolonged absence. He, Jackson, and Webb form a formidable backfield. J. Michael Sturdivant has used an incredible playoff run to get him over 1,000 receiving yards and 10 scores. It will also be a battle of premier pass rushers with Mateo Uyangalele and Tyreek Sapp for Florida. They've also got one of the top nose tackles with 6'6" Caleb Banks. He has 8 sacks on the year, 19 tackles for loss. Florida has 2 contributors hurt, with a left guard and a cornerback out, while the Ducks have been hit pretty hard by the injury bug on the defensive end especially, missing 3 linebackers and a defensive tackle. Alright, here we go from Miami, Florida. The hometown Hurricanes couldn't make it, but another team from Florida will still have a heavy home field advantage. We are underway in the national championship, and Jaleel Florence sets the Ducks up really nicely with an interception. To the back of the end zone, Dante Moore pass is batted away, and the Florida defense forces a field goal, which Atticus Sappington nails. Florida now knocking on the door of their first touchdown, and they get it. Welcome back, Jaden Baugh. And the Gators lead in the first quarter. Quarter number 2, empty backfield for Dante Moore on 3rd and 5. He finds an open man, Malik Benson, in the end zone. These two teams look like they're evenly matched so far, but Oregon now has a chance to extend its lead. Malachi Hughes looking for touchdown number 30. He's just short. 5 seconds left in the half. And they're going to settle for the field goal. They're not playing around in the championship game. I think Dan Lanning in real life would have gone for that. They do tack on another field goal in the 3rd quarter, but in the 4th quarter, it is Jacoby Jackson making it a one-score deficit for Florida, 16-14. Oregon with a deep shot to Malik Benson, his second touchdown. And Oregon now leads by 9. And they force a turnover. It's an interception by Dylan Thieneman, setting them up at the 5, and then Mekhi Hughes punches it in for touchdown number 30. That breaks the game wide open. And Florida now faced with a 4th and 10, incomplete. DJ Lagway threw it away. What was he thinking? Oregon threatening again in the red zone, and a diving grab made by Evan Stewart. Oregon is running away. 2:32 to go. These Duck fans can sense their first ever championship. There's another look at that sensational play by Stewart. 1 minute to go, Florida trying to mount a miraculous comeback. It is Sturdivant up the seam, and they will go for 2. Lagway to pass. He has to run away from the pressure at the 20-yard line. Fires and completes. A heroic effort there by DJ Lagway, but they need a lot more to go their way. Onside kick recovered by Oregon's Justice Lowe. Florida out of timeouts, and that's it. Oregon's climb to the mountaintop is complete at last. Dan Lanning wins a championship for the Ducks in year number 4. So many records broken this year. What a special season. Quarterback Dante Moore will go down in history as one of the all-time greats for the Ducks. He does manage to break Mariota's record, albeit in a few more games. And he is the MVP of this game. 36-22 is the final score. And for Florida, 2 for 11 on third down was their downfall. They also only had 49 rushing yards and barely possessed the ball in this game, only 18 minutes. DJ Lagway hadn't thrown an interception in the playoff up to this point, but he throws 2 costly ones in the championship. All that talk about the Florida backfield, and they really didn't do much against a menacing Oregon defensive front. Jacoby Jackson actually went down with an injury right after Jaden Baugh returned, and it looks like he got hurt too. That is really brutal. Not sure why Trayvon Webb didn't get any carries though. I guess when they fell behind, they just abandoned the run altogether. So that officially puts an end to Season 1 of the UTEP Dynasty. It ends with the Ducks on top, rewriting their program record books. I'm very excited to see the direction that the Dynasty will go in as far as who wins championships over the years, who wins Heismans. This year it is, of course, Jeremiah Smith winning the Heisman. And I didn't show this last episode, but I figured I'd show you that Willie Simmons of FIU won Coach of the Year, another member of our conference. Speaking of coaches, there were some pretty interesting coaching carousel moves that have happened so far in bowl season. A lot of big changes are happening on the West. Justin Wilcox hired by Utah from California. Utah has not needed a new coach in a long time, as Kyle Whittingham is one of the longest tenured head coaches with a single school in the entire FBS, but after 21 years at Utah, he leaves for Washington. Clay Helton, after a short stint with Georgia Southern, goes back to the West Coast and will coach Stanford. USC actually fired Lincoln Riley and hired former Baylor coach Dave Aranda. And there's just a ton of coaching moves in the Big Ten, as Greg Schiano moves from Rutgers to Nebraska, and Matt Campbell is going to be hated by Iowa State fans until the end of time, as he leaves Iowa State for the rival Iowa. And it appears after all that talk about extending our defensive coordinator Bobby Daly, he didn't even accept the extension offer. I'm not sure if that's just something that doesn't work in the game right now or what, but I offered him another 3 years on his contract, but it still says 1 year remaining. And I wanted to just take one last trip through the stats before we lose access to them. The nation's passing touchdown leader was Julian Sayin of Ohio State, despite them having a terrible season by their standards. I am pleased to announce that while we did lead the country in team turnovers, we did not have a quarterback lead the country in interceptions. That honor goes to Connor Harrell of Charlotte and Goose Crowder of Troy. Clemson's Cade Klubnik leads the country in yards by a wide margin. It looks like Jeremiah Smith led the country in yards and receptions, but TJ Moore actually caught more touchdowns with 19. Tawee Walker of Cincinnati narrowly edged Mekhi Hughes in rushing yards, but didn't even get half the touchdowns that Hughes scored. On defense, no one got more interceptions than Colorado's DJ McKinney and Buffalo's Charles McCarthyans. While the sack leader was not Tyreek Sapp, but rather Michigan's TJ Guy, who had 19 and a half. And one last look at the stats for UTEP. Skylar Locklear ended up edging Malachi Nelson in total passing yards. He managed to get over 200 while only throwing 6 interceptions. But what I'm really paying attention to here is that deal breaker. He wants to go somewhere with better brand exposure, while Malachi Nelson wants to go to a championship contender. It looks like both of these quarterbacks are very likely to transfer if we're not able to persuade them. Hassan Wilson was just a huge what if for us. What if we actually had better wear and tear sliders that didn't make Hassan Wilson unusable in the second half of the season? He still ended up leading us in rushing by a wide margin though. I did really like what Marquez Taylor brought to our offense, but he only had 3.5 yards per carry. It was not great running inside the tackles. He made more of an impact in the receiving game, actually. What might this offense look like with a competent running game? Cam Thomas ends his senior year with 1,073 yards and 5 touchdowns. No one caught more than 5. He was tied with Jaden Smith there. The offensive line was less than ideal. We let up a lot of sacks, Luka Matamoros being the worst offender. It looks like he is gearing up to transfer as well. Stratton Schufelt leads us in solo tackles with 38 and is tied with the team lead in total tackles with Udoka Ezeyani. Our ability to get into the backfield, stopping the run and the pass, covered up for our weaknesses in the secondary at times. Our front seven was much better than I expected them to be. Thanks to KD Johnson in particular, who had 12 sacks. He and Cole Gustafson combined for 21. Meanwhile, our starting edge rushers, Elijah Baldwin and Echo Taylor, combined for just 8. It makes sense considering that our interior linemen were a lot more experienced. Baldwin is just a freshman and Taylor is a sophomore, but the discrepancy in production between the edge and the interior was really eye-opening. I would like to see us get a lot more interceptions next year. We only got 4 total. We actually forced more fumbles than we did interceptions, which is something that I don't see too often. Jalen Shelton went the entire year without an interception as our number 1 cornerback. And while I think he did do pretty well given that he's only a 72 overall, I think we need more from the secondary next year. And Joe Bowman was a solid kicker for us, going 18 for 23, perfect on extra points. He is graduating now, so we're going to have to either replace him with a freshman or a transfer next year. So that sets up our first off season of the series, which will come very soon. I'll try to get it up in the next few days. We ended season 1 strong, but there are still a lot of questions heading into the offseason. How are we going to make this roster better? How are we going to be able to contend for a conference championship? What is our new conference going to look like? Remember, we are joining the Mountain West, the new look Mountain West, as a lot of the better teams in the Mountain West are leaving for the Pac-12. There's a chance that the Mountain West will be as weak or even weaker than Conference USA. And maybe that's good for us as we try to get on our feet as a program and start to establish a winning culture. But with the amount of seniors on this team and the amount of potential transfers, I really have no idea what this roster is going to look like next season. Are we going to be able to keep one of our 2 quarterbacks? And even if we are able to, should we? I mean, Skylar Locklear does have 1 year left of eligibility. He's a 76 overall with normal development. I think regardless, we're going to have to at least assess our options on the transfer quarterback market and see if we can bring in a transfer who can do better for us than Malachi Nelson did. How are we going to replace Hassan Wilson? We don't have much depth behind him. How are we going to replace Cam Thomas and Jaden Smith at receiver? Are we going to be able to convince Kenny Odom not to join the transfer portal? I'm not sure I can point to anybody on the roster who's an underclassman that I feel confident about being able to replace the production of a graduating senior. There are not a lot of players on the roster with impact development, let alone star. It's very likely that we're going to have to rely on younger players at receiver, especially with Wandame Davis and Jalen Brown waiting in the ranks. They were redshirt freshmen this year that did see the field a little bit. But we had a very experienced and talented receiving core this season, and it's going to look a lot different with a lot more reliance on younger talent next year. I think this is going to have to be a very active transfer portal for us. I haven't filled up the entire recruiting board with high school talent because I am planning to be very aggressive in the portal. My hope is to bring in a full 35 players between the high school recruits and the portal, because we could lose up to 20 players in the transfer portal on top of the 24 or so graduating seniors. That's 44 players. So if we actually lose 20 players in the portal, we're not even going to be able to fill an 85-man roster. So I want to get as close as we can to doing that. But please let me know what you think my priorities should be in the portal and the offseason in general. Obviously, we need upgrades at pretty much every position. We only had 4 players above 80 overall this year, and 3 of them are graduating seniors. But what should I try to upgrade first? Should it be the offensive line? Will that unlock the running game a little bit? Should I try to get some of the skill talent back that we're losing? I've talked about the struggles of our secondary a lot. Should I target some cornerbacks, cover safeties, so that we don't have any more quarterbacks going 32 for 32 against us? That might be a good idea. And it would also be nice to bring in an edge rusher who can actually produce consistently for us. But it's kind of useless talking to myself like this, as in this era of college football, it's pretty much impossible to predict how an offseason is going to go, what options are going to be available in the portal. The only way to find out is by doing it. So I hope to get you that off-season episode very soon, so I can finally start making my mark on this team and jump-starting this rebuild. Thank you all for watching with me throughout Season 1 of this dynasty. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. I look forward to making this series even better than it already is. If you like what you see, I'd really appreciate a comment with some feedback, a like on the video, a subscription, and while you're at it, you might as well turn on post notifications as well, and recommend me to a friend, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the off season very soon.